everyone, and welcome to this live training, or whether you are watching the replay on Facebook or YouTube or anywhere else, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here to talk about one of my absolute favorite things in the classroom ever, and that is color coding in the classroom. I'm so excited. I pulled some things out here to show you today what I had in my classroom, also what I would put in student bins, and we're going to talk about all of the different things when it comes to color coding. Now you will find, I'm not sure where the video description is going to show up, below or above this video, but wherever the video description is, wherever you are watching, you're going to find links to all of the things that I'm going to show you today. Not necessarily the bins or anything, but I can definitely link those for you and tell you where those are from. But if we are talking about color coding a certain thing, there are many blog posts, I've linked all of those. If I show you a resource where you're color coding, like color code student IEP binders, I've linked those for you below. Bin labels, all of that good stuff is linked below. There are also additional videos on color coding in our on our YouTube channel, and so I've linked those all for you as well. So everything that you need in addition to watching this video is going to be linked in the video description. So let's get started. So when I first started teaching in the self-contained classroom, oh my goodness, this was 2016. Nope, I lied. 2014, 15. It's been a long time. So when I taught in when I first started teaching in the self-contained classroom, I didn't know what color coding was. And so the very first year that I taught self-contained, we didn't do anything color coded. I just kind of wung it, right? It was like a straight survival. And then the second year I was like, man, there has to be something that I can do a little bit differently to make my life easier, but also my students' lives easier. And so we, thankfully, in Houston, had a Lakeshore Learning not far from where we lived, which was a blessing and a curse at the same time. If you live near a Lakeshore Learning, you know what I'm talking about. Because I would go all the time and spend all this money, but that is where I discovered all these color-coded bins, and I was like, these are absolutely beautiful. I need them in my classroom. What can I use them for? And so that's when we started implementing, or I started implementing with my students. Each student had their own bin. So the second year I started teaching self-contained, I just kind of wung color coding, and it just transferred into everything else in the classroom. I've done it multiple different ways, so I'm going to kind of share some ideas with you as to how you could branch this out into not just color coding student things if you didn't want to do student color coded things, or if you have a larger caseload, or if you wanted to do it color coding in a different way. I am using this video to show you different ways that you could color code in your classroom to help you with the organization. And so the first way that I have color coded, and this is how it started, was with these bins here. So these are like a shoebox size bin. They are from Lakeshore Learning. They're very durable. I've had these almost a decade, and so they've held up very, very well. You can wash them with soap and water, and they're fantastic. So I have those. I also have these ones that are the same exact thing. They're the Lakeshore Learning. I have stuff in this one, so I can't really, I will show you what's in it here in a minute, but it's more of like a paper size. These fit in student desks, and so that's where we put these. And again, Lakeshore Learning. We'll talk about this in a minute. And then these are their book bins. And so these would be student individual book bins. And so I honestly went in one day and just bought all the things when they were having one of their teacher sales or something. And so that has been where my collection started. This came at a separate time, but this is one of their pencil caddies. And that was like a later addition into all of the things. So, and then as I continued teaching self-contained, I got more and more color-coded things so that students had their own things. We weren't fighting over things, and students could learn their name and have all of their things, keep their own things organized as well. And so let's start with where I started with them, was these IEP bins and these bins right here. I didn't necessarily start with these because students already had things in their desks, so we're going to start with these first, and then I will get to this, I will get to the binder, I will get to all of these other things as well. So what I like to use these bins for was, there's multiple ways that you could use them, and I have clear bins now because I really like the look of clear bins. You can get any bin that you want. I also put a link below for a training that I did on YouTube. It's a free video, probably 2 summers ago, about how to make your own IEP bins. And there's also another video linked about what IEP bins are and work bins, and so that's what we use these for. And so I would put individual student work in here. I would put IEP work in here. I would put, I don't want to call it filler work, we call it sponge activities. So if students finished work early, or they were they finished another, they came back from class a little bit early, I could say, go get your bin or go get your work bin, and they would do something from within this work bin. What types of things would I put in here? There is a video here that's going to dive deeper into what I would put in work bins. It's going to show you lots of resources, but off the top of my head, what I would put in here was IEP work, but also file folder activities, task boxes. If we had some of my students working on fine motor, this is Aaron's thinking putty. And of course, if you know me, you know I love dinosaurs, so of course I had to get the dinosaur one. But I would put Theraputty in here, and I would put, not in here, in here, and I would put beads in the Theraputty, and so that would be an activity for them. It just depended on what that student was working on. Anything related to what that student could do or what skill they were working on would go in their bin. I would change them out about once every 4 to 6 weeks just to keep them engaged and interested in what was in the bin. I would prep things that were evergreen probably every quarter, and by evergreen I mean things that I could use with multiple students or I could use throughout the entire year. So not necessarily snowmen counting. I would still do snowmen counting, but I would do something like counting fish or counting leaves on a tree, which could technically be fall. But things where I could use it in September, I could also use it in March, I could use it in January, and it would practice the same skill, but it wasn't, again, like count how many snowballs are in the ice pit or something. I don't know, that was off the top of my head. So that is what I would prep and use in here. Same with file folders. I do love themed activities. I am all for themes, and if you get our free lesson plans that come out every Wednesday, which I'll come back and link them, every Wednesday throughout the school year to our newsletter subscribers, I send out free newsletter that is lesson plans for the upcoming week, and you'll notice I love themes. So it's not that I'm against themes, it's just for evergreen things, so I didn't have to constantly prep things over and over and over again, which is also an organization system. That really helped with IEP work bins. And so that's what would go in those. I would just keep them on a shelf or keep them on a table that was always in access to students. So that way, for whatever reason, again, if they finished something early, if they came back from class early, or we had a couple of minutes where there wasn't anything planned and everybody's done, but we have 5 minutes before lunch, or we didn't want to read a story, or some students were using the bathroom, and it was whatever the case may be, we would just pull out IEP work bin stuff, or we'd have stuff in their desks, which we'll also get to. In student book bins, this is what I would call their bin. So I wouldn't call those bins, these were called bins. So I could say, Stephanie, I need you to go get your what is this? Clipboard. Mom brain, completely lost it there for a minute. Stephanie, go get your clipboard out of your bin and bring it to the table, please. And so they would know, Stephanie would know, okay, my color is orange. And so if I had multiple students in my classroom, which I did the second year, I had more than 6 students in my classroom. You see 6 colors. I had more than 6 students in my classroom, so I would double up on colors. And so then I would label everything with a name. So you can see my sample bin here that I have, my sample binder, which would not stay in their bin, has my name on it. And so I would put their name on the front. I would put probably a character that they loved. So if I had a student who loved the movie Zootopia, and so I would put that student's name on the bin, and I would put a picture of characters from Zootopia. I would just make them in PowerPoint, Google the images, and throw them on their bin. So that student knew, okay, I love Zootopia, so I know that this is my bin, but my name is also on this bin. And so I would do that for them. And so they knew everything was in their bin. What would I keep in their bin? This would not stay in their bin. I threw that in here to come over here to you. I would keep their inclusion documentation. So this is just an example of the inclusion service documentation. I color coded their clipboards because they all went to inclusion. You can just get regular clipboards from anywhere and duct tape or put duct tape color on it, or you can clear packing tape color of cardstock over it. Words are really hard today, and I apologize. But any way you want to color code it, you can get white ones like this one here. And you can marker on it. You can, again, tape anything that you want on it to make it color coded. It does not need to be anything crazy fancy, okay? So I would put their inclusion file clipboard, inclusion clipboard in their bin. Before they would go, they would know, Stephanie, don't forget to take your clipboard with you to inclusion. They would grab it, they would take it with them, or the para would carry it with them as they walked to class. Other things that would be in their bin, we have, and if you haven't seen these, I share it every year at Back to School, and I've linked the video on YouTube of how to make these. But these these are just folders that you make into flashcards holders, and so you can put anything in here. I've linked the covers, so this is my dog Jackson, but these are Jackson's math facts, and so you can change the cover for anything. But you open it up. This is one of those 5 or 10 cent folders that you get at Back to School time. I laminated and cut it, but the video will show you how to make these. And so you can pretty much do these for sight words. You can do these for all the things. Heather, I will come back and add the link for the inclusion documentation form. I didn't add it below, but I'll come back and add it, and I will tag you when I add it. Sorry about that. You can also just write on the front. It does not have to be anything fancy, but these things are magical. So easy to use, so inexpensive to use. You can also use the poly folders if you don't want to laminate the folder. But I put these are always in their bin. They never have this many. I just happen to prep a whole bunch one year, and as I prep them every year, I have extras, and so I just throw them in these sample bins that I have. So sight words, flashcards, all the things. If they have any type of visual schedule that travels with them, this is something that will go in their bin as well. So let's say they're going to inclusion, but the teacher doesn't necessarily have a visual schedule on the board for that student, and so I will send them with their own visual schedule for that specific class or for their afternoon. And so this is our free flip template, which I'll come back and link for you. For those of you watching live, you just flip it so that it velcros. So we're done with this, I'm done with this, and so they can take this with them. It's like a mobile visual schedule, which is fantastic. You don't have to tape it on the table. You don't have to worry about the teachers doing this. So you have this available as well. I would put that in here. We have additional folders, and where is so if you use token boards in your classroom, I would keep their token boards in their folder for them. I also made these, so if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, they used to give these out for free, the paint sticks. But I grabbed the paint sticks, I colored them, got paint at like Michael's or Walmart or something, added a strip of Velcro, and so if you are working on anything, this is another visual schedule that I prepped. And so if you are working on something, okay, it is time for breakfast, you can throw it on here, and then when they're finished, you can take it off. If you're using it as a choice board, where you could say, okay, do you want to do story time, or do you want to do calendar work, or maybe we want to do, trying to think, circle time. So maybe I have students who love all 3 of these things. Here it's choice time, throw them on their little stick, and so then I can take it off and say, okay, you picked circle time, which would you like to do next? This also works as a great visual schedule. You can also use this during lessons with all of your movable pieces, especially for adapted books, adapted piece book sets, adapted work binders. These work great. Again, these were free, and I just painted them and threw Velcro on them, so those stay in the student bins as well. Let's see what else I have hidden in some of these bins over here. If I have students that are working on a specific activity or a specific skill, or if they were absent one day and we did something where I need to take data on it, this is just a book from Reading A to Z. It is one that I adapted, and so I'll come back and link this blog post for you as well. As I'm sharing things, I'm realizing I forgot to share a lot of things. But I will print out the lesson plan, and then I will print out the book, and I will put it in their bin. Usually they have a folder, which is right here. It just didn't make it in the sample folder. They have a folder with missed work, and so that will be in their bin as well. So if they're missing anything, or if they're going on vacation and parents have requested work for them, this can go with this as well. So lots of different things go in their bins. Things that don't go in their bins look like these little clips. Those go in their other red folder, or their other red cup over here, which already has a clip on it, and why that is not in there. So let's talk about then, we've talked about these bins here. So IEP work bins, whatever it may be. We've talked about what goes in these different bins here. So there are different things as well that I color code in the classroom that I didn't start with, that I realized and wanted to continue using as I got those systems in place. Students got used to those. I wanted to color code more. So that's when I got this size bin, again, Lakeshore Learning, and I think they have neon colors now, or they did at one point, because I do have neon colors of these as well, giving me 12 colors. And so what goes in these? These fit perfectly in the standard student desks that have like the opening. You can perfectly. They don't keep off the edges. They're not too high. They're not too shallow. These are perfect for student desks. It's like they made them for that purpose. And so what would go in here would be, if they have a pencil case, their pencil, their scissors, all of that's going to be in here. I don't say glue because we used glue sponges, and glue sponges were a community resource that we used together. And so those wouldn't go in their bins or their desk bins, but they would have their own pencil case with their own pencil. And here you can see I do have an example of the file folder sight words, and so maybe they put that in there. This is where the orange one is. So here we have the check marks for the orange token board. You can see, and you can laminate stickers. Did you know that? You can laminate stickers and use them on token boards if you didn't want to use check marks. But these can also stay in student desks. It depends on the student. It depends on what all they have in their desk. And so I have some crayons in here. I have some Theraputty. I have some random little dinosaurs. Maybe I have some fidgets in here for students. This is also, I was gifted this from somebody. It's a earphones, but it wraps around your head instead of like the other version. And then I have a timer in here. So again, it really just depends on the student and what they can handle being in their desk. I have some students who can't handle having a bunch of things in their desk, and so it would be very minimal. And then I have other students who can handle this and need more of this organization to help them. And so one thing that's also very helpful, and I'll come back and link this for you because this blog post was on the intentional, I think it was on the intentional IP, it might have been Mrs. D's Corner, how to organize student desks. And this is one of the ways that we do that was with these. So you have these bins as well. The other way that, in addition to all of this color-coded organization, was for student pencils, scissors, all the other things that we were using in the classroom frequently. I went ahead and grabbed them all in color-coded options. And so this is just a collection of things that I've gotten over the years. So we have, I'm just gonna pull one of these bins out. So we have we use these for reading, and so they could track their words as they were reading the stories. So there's a light blue one and a dark blue one. We have student glasses to make reading fun because, I mean, who doesn't want to read with some really fun glasses? If it keeps them engaged, let's have it. We have color-coded student scissors, so they each have their own scissors. You don't have to go this far. I think it took me a couple of years, and not all students actually have scissors in their bins that match their colors. So this is just super extra, and it happened over the years. Tweezers, because we were working on a lot of fine motor things. I got these at a teacher store. Here are some different tweezers that we would use to pick up different things. And then we have clips, because we would use clips and I would put Velcro on the walls. So I just bought the magnet clips at Walmart. I put Velcro on the back, put Velcro on the wall, and this is how we would store our headphones and our earbuds near the computers, and we would use these to keep track of everything because there was no room anywhere else. And so we would color code, yes, those as well. So we have those, and we have extra ones. I also ended up finding color-coded 10 frames, fidget pops, whatever these are, at some point, and so those are in there as well. Really, I would just collected things that I knew I could keep my students engaged with. It's nothing that I feel like personally is fluff. Again, lots of different things that we can use throughout the day to keep them engaged, get them excited about learning, and so they would all have their own supplies, so we're not fighting over them. And so that is what this caddy would be for. Things that I have included and started collecting still over the years in terms of color coding. These I got at Walmart last year, and so these are those really big zipper pouches. Our Walmart here just started putting things out for back to school, so if you're watching this replay of this video, it is July 17th of 2024, and so our Walmart just started putting things out for back to school because our kids go back in about 3 weeks. And so these were from last year. I haven't seen them out yet because they don't have everything out yet, but you could use these for so many things. If you don't want to do IEP bins like this, you don't have the storage for this, these are absolutely a great idea. They fit full sheets of paper. You could fit a lot of things in them. They could fit in student desks. They could fit, you probably could fit them in one of these. If you see it fits just about the same size. If not, you could fit it would roll and slip on top. And so these are a great option. I did just buy, they have these in all different sizes on Amazon. And so I did just buy some that are like this big, like letter size, to go for task cards and things like that instead of using task boxes, because these are much easier to store, in my opinion, than 100 different task boxes. And then I don't have to worry about them being prepped and in baggies or in boxes, and they're all here ready to be used. So you can color code things like this. There are also ways to color code your paperwork when it comes to IEP writing, and I also do that. So trying to think of what year it was when I was teaching. I taught in Delaware for a couple of years in the state of Delaware, and I taught at a high school, and I was the instructional support team facilitator. And so I worked with students that weren't identified as special education but needed a little extra help in the classroom. And so I would have meetings with their parents. I would meet with them every day. I would come observe them in the classroom, help their teachers, support their teachers, and do all of that stuff. And so what came with that was a lot of paperwork. And I mean, a lot more than most special education teachers, but I thrived because I absolutely love the paperwork. I'm a weirdo, I know. And so in that position, I did that for about a year and a half because I started mid-year, and then they cut the budget. The budget cut that position the following school year. And so, but in that position, in that time that I was there, I learned how to color code my paperwork. I was like, well, there are so many pieces of paper in this manila folder, I can't tell what is what by just looking. And so what I started doing was the nurse form would be purple. And so maybe the parent form that I would send home, or the parent questionnaire, would be a different color, might be green. And so then the teacher form might be yellow. And so I just chose colors that the school had, colored pastel papers. And then over the years, I learned about Astrobrights. And so now I use Astrobrights to do all of my color coding. But you can definitely do that, and I just want to show you what I mean. And so this is my IEP toolkit, and so I have everything that I need in here for IEP writing, including all of the questionnaires. And so you can see that I have all the questionnaires in different colors. Gen Ed is this really pretty like purple pink color. Parent questionnaire is this aqua dark blue color. The paraprofessional questionnaire is this lime green. And then the 2 student questionnaires, because they're different depending on student ability levels, is this orange yellow color. And so that way, when I keep all of these files in a student's folder, I can look and I'm like, okay, do I have everything when I'm self-auditing these IEP folders for myself, or the cumulative folders at the end of the year? I can say, do I have all of these papers? And yes, I will still go through and make sure that the purple paper is actually this, or that the purple paper is actually the nurse form. But visually, I can see, do I have everything that I need? And so color coding my paperwork has really saved me a lot of time. That way, I also know too, and I can say to parents, hey, you've got a purple paper coming home in Stephanie's backpack. Make sure to look for it, so they're not just looking for all the other white pieces of paper that are in the backpack that might be work samples or things that students have completed at school that day. I can say, look for a specific color, and they're gonna know and be able to spot it real easy. That way also, when it comes back to me in the backpack, or however it may come back to me, when we're going through the student's backpack to find their communication notebook, which I did have one, not here, nope. I don't have one prepped right here with me. When their communication notebook comes back to me the next day in their backpack, I can look for that purple folder. Or parents can say, hey, I'm gonna send it back on Wednesday. So Wednesday I know to look for that purple piece of paper. And so it just really visually is a quick check, and it's easy to know for me when I look in a folder, do I have everything that I need? With that being said, I also, last week we talked about the 3 binder systems that I feel like every special education teacher needs. And one of those things was these color-coded student IEP binders. And so you can either do white binders or black binders, or you can do the actual color-coded binders. I'm gonna fill you in on a little tip right now because it is the middle of July, back to school things are coming out. I have gone to Target and Walmart already, not for school things, but they're starting to put them out. Whether you go back in September or you go back in 3 weeks with the rest of us down here in the South, you are going to want to buy your student IEP binders. If you're color coding them and getting colored binders like this, grab them now, because they will not be here at the end of August. They will not be there in September when you go to grab them and you're thinking about work things. Throw them in your cart, buy them now, send them back. If you don't want to use them, return them, or if you don't end up using them, you will not find them, I promise you, the closer school gets. They go quickly. Okay, they are not there all the year round. And so make sure you buy them as soon as possible if you want to use this method. You can use white, and then a white binder or a black binder, and then use Astrobrights paper to color code things. That is also my recommendation, and there is a video linked in this video description about how to color code for larger caseloads. So if you have a caseload of 60, which I've been there as a resource teacher and a co-teacher, you will probably want a larger binder, and I explain how to color code for a larger caseload in that video. But inside of this student IEP binder, this is not for students to take care of. This is for me to take care of. This stays on a bookshelf behind my desk. And so what you'll find inside of here is their binder rings. You're also going to find a copy of their goals and objectives, copy of their most recent progress reports. You're going to find any work samples from that marking period or the marking periods previous. And so I put all of these pages in these binder sleeves and page protectors, and then I throw all the work samples in behind period 1. And so you can see I have some back here too as well. That way I have all of the things ready to go. And then I have notes from home, and that's just an old cover that I had on this binder. So everything I need, and when it comes to, let's say I have a parent-teacher conference or a last-minute meeting with admin, or maybe parents come in at, at the end of the day and they want a meeting after I'm finished with my school duties, I can say, okay, Stephanie's parents are here. I really quick need to grab her binder. And so instead of scurrying around and trying to find my papers everywhere, which I've done many, many times, I can now just grab Stephanie's binder off my bookshelf, off my wall, and I can go and meet with parents, and everything that I need is in here. I have her IEP information, I have her work samples, I have her data, and if I don't, I can just grab her binder rings from wherever they're sitting. These also make it easy. They are also color-coded. The binder rings make it easy for doing progress reports. You don't have to have 10,000 different papers in front of you, but everything I need for all of my students is here. Each student gets their own binder. Again, if you want to do one binder per class period or per marking period or whatever it may be, the color coding for larger caseloads video is linked below this video as well, and so that'll be a great help for you. One other way that I do want to mention how teachers color code and how I've seen it done, and I did do this actually when I taught resource. I taught resource outside of Philadelphia in a charter school. And so I had students for math. And so what we would do is, how they did it was, and you've seen it because there's always this funny meme that's like, why is the red folder always science? Or why is the green folder always science? Or whatever it may be. Whatever color the science folder is, everyone always chooses the same color. And so maybe you'll have all these different color folders, and students will have all of these in their backpacks, right? And so they'll know visually, okay, blue is math, red is reading, purple is writing, yellow is spelling, green is science, orange is social studies, or whatever it may be, however you have the color-coded things. And so you can color code your folders, you can color code how you're storing things. So if you store things in file folders in your cabinet, you could say, okay, all of my math lessons are going to be in the blue folders, all of my ELA lessons are going to be in the orange folders. And so that is another way that you can color code visually, so you know if you open a file folder and you're looking for science and all you see is blue and red and science is yellow, you're like, science is not going to be in here, and you open up another drawer. So that just makes it really easy for you. Again, color coding is all about making it simple for you, making it work for you. It's not about giving you more work to do. The front end of beginning the color coding and deciding how you're going to color code, what you're going to do, and also then teaching your students the systems that go along with it. I don't want to say that's where all of the work is, because it's very simple to do, but a lot of your front loading, again, just as with anything, is where you're going to find yourself spending most of the time. Once the system is implemented, once your color-coded system is implemented, that is when you're going to notice the ease and the simplification of just everything having its own place. Each student has their own things. I don't want to say I know where everything is because I'm going to forget something, but I generally know where everything is when it comes to my students and what's supposed to be where. And that also helps your paraprofessionals or your support staff in your classroom. If they're going to be helping you refill the IEP bins, you can say, can you refill the IEP bins? They know exactly what they are. They know exactly who is what color, or if you do students by numbers or by shapes or by animals or whatever it may be, they know exactly what your system is, what to change out, where to put certain things. If they find a green pencil on the floor, they know that it was Stephanie's. They can put it back in her bin, or they can say, hey, Stephanie, your pencil's on the floor. Can you come get it? So it really just helps keep you organized and really keep you sane. Like, I attribute a lot of the sanity that I had when I taught self-contained to having this color-coded classroom system implemented, because it helped me and it helped my students stay organized. Did I still have piles of paperwork everywhere around my classroom? Yes, but they were organized piles of paperwork that I knew what was where, and they had to be organized into some type of color-coded system. So this is what I have to share with you today about all of these different color-coded things. Now, there are so many other things that you can color code in your classroom. You could really go wild and color code all of the things. But this is where I started and kind of where I stopped, and just some additional things that I've picked up along the way when it comes to color coding and just really staying organized. I'm going to go through and answer some of the questions that you do have here in the comments for those of you that are here live. For those of you that are here during a replay, feel free to leave comments here on this video, and I will come back frequently to answer any questions that you do have. Or if you have additional questions and don't want to leave the questions on the video, you can email us at support@mrsdscorner.com. So Heather, I will come back and link the inclusion documentation form for you. It will also be in the product description. Erica said, will this be available to watch later? Yes. Those of you watching the replay know this, but those of you that are here live, this will be available inside of our Facebook group here. It will also be available on our YouTube channel and also the Mrs. D's Corner Facebook page. So you will have availability to watch it wherever you choose. Thank you, David, for answering that question for her as well. Layla said, did you say that what's inside the binder will be linked later? So what's inside this binder here is linked below for you already. I will come back and link these binder rings are actually free in my TPT shop, and so there's a whole blog post that goes along with that, but these are already linked below for you. And so if you wanted to grab these, this is the kid version because they have kids on them. There's also a version that has like geometric shapes, and it's more for middle school, high school, doesn't have the little kids on it. Those are also on sale this week through Friday. The bin labels, the color-coded bin labels are also on sale, and so are these covers here. If you wanted to make these file folder pockets, these editable covers are on sale as well. They're 35% off, only in the Mrs. D's Corner shop. So the Mrs. D's Corner shop is linked below. The coupon code is July 17, the number 17, and then the number 19. It's below. You can use that today, Wednesday, July 17th, tomorrow, the 18th, and then Friday. It will end the end of day Friday, July 19th, 2024. So you can grab any of those 35% off when you use the code. Again, only in the Mrs. D's Corner shop, not on TPT. But yes, so that Layla is linked below this already, but I'll come back and link the progress from our progress binder rings, progress report, progress monitoring binder rings. There we go. They're free though, so you don't need a discount code for those. David said, it makes things much easier for everyone. It really does. Like, color coding truly was a game changer for me as a special education teacher. Britta says, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Jennifer says, I struggle using color coding in a preschool self-contained classroom with 2 sessions of kids. Oh, so like an AM and a PM session. So just initially thinking this through, without knowing any other logistics or anything else about your classroom, Jennifer, my first thought would be to have a section of the room where it's AM things and then PM things. So if I had a bookshelf, let's just say this is my bookshelf, this side would be AM and then this side would be PM. And then if there was a way that I could either have a curtain to close it so that or if I could shift like a trifold piece of poster board or something, if I had a closet that I could change things out in, that's what I would do. It might be a little bit more work in terms of, morning and afternoon, or you could do shapes, colors with shapes, or colors with numbers, to kind of differentiate the different bins. You could still do all the same color, but like your AM kids could be a color with a shape. Your PM kids could be a color with a number or a color with a letter. So you could do that as well, which is also a great skill for pre-K students. But that would be my first initial 2 thoughts, is there a way that I can do AM and PM sections on just one random bookshelf or something, or in a cabinet, and hide the AM from the PM kids and then the PM from the AM kids, or some way to do like a double dose with like the labels. So not just having a color, but a color and a shape, color letter, color number, or a color with a character, whatever it may be. That would be my first thought. But if that doesn't solve what you're experiencing, the struggle you're experiencing, Jennifer, send me an email, support@mrsdscorner.com, and I'm happy to help you walk through it and try to help you figure it out. Or you can post here in the Facebook group, and I can comment on that as well, along with the 30,000 other plus teachers that are in here. We can all help you figure it out. You are very welcome, Layla. Thank you so much for being here. Juan and Sarah, you're amazing. I bought, oh my goodness, my first year. Well, thank you so much. I hope that it helped you, Juan and Sarah. I hope that that really helped you in your classroom. If you need anything else, let me know. I am always here to help. It makes my heart really happy to be able to share things and just kind of systems with you like this. Organization is really where my heart is. I love keeping things organized because it keeps me happy and it keeps my anxiety happy, especially in the classroom. If you have any additional questions in relation to color coding or any blog posts or resources or additional videos that I've shared in this product description or video description, please let me know. Again, you can reach out all the time, support@mrsdscorner.com, or here in the Facebook group, Mrs. D's VIPs. You can do mrsdsvips.com if you want to join. If you're watching on a different channel, you can join us at any time, and we are always here to help you and give ideas and share ideas and just be supportive for one another. So thank you all for being here live with me today. Thank you so much if you're here watching a replay. Don't forget that we have live videos coming up through the rest of August. So we have a couple of weeks left, lots of other live videos. You can check the events tab in our Facebook group to see what other live events we have coming up, and they will all be reshared onto other platforms that we have for Mrs. D's Corner. So thank you all so much for being here. I will see you next week.